Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I was raised in a family with 4 moms and 35 kids. We were members of the FLDS Church, which is a polygamist group run by their prophet Warren Jeffs, who is now serving a life sentence in prison.
I was raised mainstream LDS in Utah. Sam and I have been married for 11 years and have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do. And today we are very excited to welcome a very special guest, Christine Brown Woolley. She is the star of the Sister Wives hit TV show and New York Times best-selling author for her new book, Sister Wife. Christine,
Woo!
thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm honored to be part of this. Definitely.
We are so grateful for you being here. Oh my gosh, I am not a huge reader. I will admit that. But when you sent us this book, first of all, I felt so honored that you sent it. And we had people in our comments being like, did you just name drop that she sent that to you? And I was like, I know, I felt super cool. But I could not put it down. I read it in 2 days. I couldn't stop reading it. It's just so good.
Fascinating.
So fascinating. And the fact that you were so vulnerable and let us see into all the things, I feel like you just answered so many questions that I think everyone who loves you from the show feels. It was awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's like the best compliment ever. When people pick it up and can't take it down, because that's my favorite kind of a book, is one that I just keep reading and reading and reading. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And our first question definitely has to be, what made you decide to write a book and then to write one that was so vulnerable, that did show behind the curtain? That's exactly how it felt. I felt like I was looking behind the curtain and getting to see all the things I've ever wondered about when it came to Christine.
Oh, I love it. I guess, you know what? I came to a point in my life where I feel like everything has reached this amazing end. And like in my marriage with David and everything, it just feels like my whole last chapter, even though the show's still happening, it just felt like everything came to a close and it was time to move on. And I felt like there were still some things that happened that I had more to say. And I realized I felt silenced really for years, even though I was on television. I felt silenced for the rest of the story. And it was time for the rest of the story. And in that was all the vulnerable things. And I just decided that people are so kind when they come and they say hi and they greet me and they tell me their stories and they open up and they talk about how my journey has affected them. And they're so vulnerable and so amazing. And so I thought, you know what? I think they deserve to have a little bit more vulnerability because they've shared so much with me.
Wow. I love that. And I think, well, I can say for ourselves and many people that we've talked to that I think you'd be surprised how many people connect with you because of the experiences you have shared with us. It's crazy. We see this all the time. We talk about a group of people that are living a very strict lifestyle, and we would never guess, but someone across the world is having a similar experience and they can connect with that person because of it. So I think it's amazing that you got more vulnerable and let people see this side of you, a little bit more of this side. But you mentioned that you felt, I just want to ask a little bit more about this. You felt silenced. Is that because there's just not enough time to share more vulnerable things in the show? Or what do you mean by that?
I think that's part of it, just because you see me for an hour on Sunday. And so they had to really trim down what we all had to say. And there were, 5 adults and all these kids and everybody. And in the show for so long that there's only that much space to give, and then there's only that much space to give each person. So I feel like there was more of it. But then also, I get in a family and anytime you're with a group of people, I think that we all don't want to rock the boat too much because there are repercussions in everyday life. And I believe in being kind and I believe in being honest and I believe in being authentic. But I think that sometimes there was still more that I could share that I didn't. And just because repercussions sometimes,
Yeah.
whatever Cody would love to ignore. That was his favorite thing to do. And that wasn't something that I wanted for my children and I. And, whatever. There's just sometimes it's not worth the rock that boat. But once you leave and you're not part of the family anymore, you can rock the boat a lot more then.
Yeah. I was going to ask, do you think it's easier to speak out about these things now that your kids are at an age where maybe they can understand more?
Okay. Yes and no. So writing a book that tells so many details. McKelty read it and she did on her Patreon and everything. And she's like, there's things that I found out about that I really, one, as a daughter, maybe I shouldn't have known.
Mm,
And not just the intimate parts of it, but parts that I kept from my kids. They didn't know everything. And not all of my kids have read it. So David's daughters, a couple of his daughters have read it. They were the first ones to read it, actually.
Oh,
mm,
that's so
Um,
sweet.
so for my kids, I think that when they're ready to read it and they want to read it, that's fine. But it really does expose more than maybe they want to know from their mom, you
mm,
know?
Yeah, I
yeah,
it definitely can be hard to hear certain aspects of your mother's life because you love them and you want to
yeah.
protect them. My
Yeah.
mom had started writing just some of the things that happened in her life, and she had some really hard things happen, and she was like, do you want to read some of these things as I'm journaling them and trying to get them out? And I had the same hesitation where I was like, Mom, I know things were hard, and I love you so much that I think my heart would break and I wouldn't be able to like know how to fix it because I couldn't fix it for you
Mm,
because it's in the past, right? So I
Yeah.
can see both of those sides where it's like as a kid, it's weird how even as kids you want to protect your
yeah,
parents. Like that sounds funny,
yeah.
but it's like you do and you want them to feel like whole. And so that would be a tough thing to decide whether or not you want to hear that. So I can
Yeah. So if
understand.
whenever they want to listen to it, whenever they want to read it, whatever, and we can talk about
Mm,
it and dissect it and whatever they want to do, I am open for. But it was kind of a next level of, do I want to go public with a divorce? I couldn't decide with that either, but I knew my
Mhm.
kids would see everything that I did, so I figured I would leave like a lady. But then with the book, I felt like I was so exposed. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
there's so many things we want to get to, and we'll ask some more questions later on. But uh, were there things in this book that you didn't want to put in that you felt uncomfortable talking about? Was it hard to get this vulnerable?
Yes, it was very hard to get this vulnerable. Are you kidding me? It took a lot of pacing back and forth and figure out, do I want to put it in? Do I not want to put it in? The intimacy part wasn't in there at first.
Mm,
And I had my two sisters read it, one that's still in plural marriage in our church, even, and then one who never lived it. She lives in New Jersey and has a different life completely. I had them read it, and both of them were like, so you actually, in a memoir, you actually do need to open up a little bit more
mm,
because if you're going to be vulnerable and you're going to be open, you have to trust like the whole process of it, and you really do need to be open. And then I don't know, still I'm like, ooh, did I need to?
yeah.
I wasn't sure about the addiction to oxycodone. That was very difficult to talk about.
Mm,
But I figured that too was something that people could relate to. And what I tried my hardest was to think about, and the reason I went through with the intimacy stuff is I feel like what I wanted to do more than anything was write this book for everybody. And for everyone that's gone through a situation like I went through, there's going to hopefully be a part in the book that will resonate with them. So that's why I thought, you know what, my intimacy journey is just like some other people's intimacy journey, and that's why it's okay. My journey with oxycodone is like something that someone else has struggled with addiction too. So it's like those things that were so vulnerable. I think someone else might need to hear that as well.
yes.
Yeah, I think you did a
Yeah.
great job. The way that you even just the way that you wrote it, it felt like I was just hearing it from you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
Good.
and it was felt so personal and in a way that was so natural that it felt like there was just somebody sharing that. And I feel like there are so many people who can relate to those situations, and it's going to feel so much more personal. Not like this story over here, but this is like my friend Christine telling me about what happened to her so that I can like learn a lesson from her book, right? That's what it felt like to me as a
That's
reader.
oh,
So
that's very,
that was
very sweet, and that is definitely the hope. That's what I
yeah.
hope for. I want it to be like a conversation that we would have, and like a coffee chat or a wine
Yeah.
chat or whatever, something like that, where let's just get to know each other a little bit more. I just don't know
Yeah.
that much about you. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll continue to get
Yes,
to know each other
and kind
more
of
too.
jumping back to the book and what's in the book, we love how you laid it out in daughter, sister, wife, and woman.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Love,
you.
love, love
That was
that.
so
Thank
smart,
you.
and I was like, "Wow." And I feel like again, it's just so relatable, right? Because as a woman, you have all of those different phases in your life. And even if they don't look like what Sam was saying earlier, even if they don't look exactly how yours did, right? Most people maybe aren't going to relate with the plural marriage part, or there's these different parts, but there are all those things to relate to. Obviously, the main one, which a reason why we're so excited to have you on our channel, is because your whole section about daughter is talking about you being raised in a
Polygamy.
plural family. And that is how Sam was raised,
Yeah.
hence, growing up
Wow.
in polygamy.
Sam, we have some stories to tell. I mean, that we have stories. I had two moms. My
Okay.
mom left when I was 19, but I still have two moms. I still do.
Yeah. How many siblings did you have?
There's 11 siblings. So I have 10 siblings. There's 11
Okay.
of us. It's a smaller plural family. And even like in my marriage to Cody, that one, there were 18 children. So for 4 wives, that is a very small plural family. So I love, Sam, that there was 34
It's one of
children?
35.
I'm one of 35. Yes.
Okay, so 30% perfect. Yeah, so I love that. I love it. So we had
Yeah.
kind of a small plural family as far as plural families go. It was
But
awesome.
from what I understood from the book, is it correct that you all lived under one roof?
When I was a kid,
Yeah.
like sometimes we were under one roof. I'd say through the majority after my other mom, and then I think for the majority of it, we were under one roof. But that roof was sometimes big because it was also a duplex. So the duplex
Okay.
has one house, and it's almost like a townhouse. So there was a townhouse. We're on separate sections of the townhouse, and then they're on the same section of the townhouse. So yes, they shared it, but then this even had separate kitchens at some time, but then they even had the same kitchen. So all the permutations were in there. Separate houses sometimes, some same kitchen sometimes, all of it, the whole
Interesting.
range.
Yeah, that was my experience in the
Okay.
sense of all being under one roof. There were 4 moms in the house, and we shared everything. I mean, they were in different sides of the house, I guess. Like the mother's rooms were in different areas of the house, but it was all one big house, more similar to like a hotel. You walk down the hallway, and there were rooms on both sides, and it was big, but it was all one big family. Yeah.
Oh, really? So all the kids' rooms were intermixed and everything like that? The kids were? Or did they stay in their own quarters
So it was
with their
based
mom?
on it was all mixed together in one house, but it was the room setup was based on gender and age. So the
Wow.
girls would have their room, the boys would have their room, and then the older boys in one and the younger boys in another. I shared a room with, I believe, 3, sometimes 4 other brothers.
Oh, okay. Got
Yep.
it. All right. All right.
Wow.
I never shared a room with my other mom's kids. Like,
Oh, okay.
I shared a room with my sister, the one that I fought with a lot. Yeah, that's right. Um, but I shared a room with her, but that was all. Just her.
Okay.
Okay.
And that seems like it's pretty common in a lot of like other polygamous groups. Like the FLDS, it's pretty common that they're always under one roof in like one house. In the
Mhm.
AUB, is that pretty typical to have like the closest proximity be like townhome situations, or is it just a mix depending on family?
It's all over. So there's
Oh,
home
okay.
in AUB, there's different houses completely. There's some that have the same kitchen. It's all over the place. It's just a
Mm.
Okay.
huge variety. Some in different states. I can't imagine that is really as fun. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've heard this term a few times throughout the Sister Wives show, and specifically Cody mentioning the fact that you were a polygamist royalty.
oh my gosh,
S-
I never was to me. To me, when he first said that, I was like, wait, what did you call me? Why is that? And
Yeah.
so, yeah. So I had my grandpa Rulin was a prophet in the church, and then he died, and that's my dad's biological dad.
Okay.
And then my mom's adopted dad was Owen, Rulin's brother. And
Mm.
then after Rulin died, my other grandpa Owen became the prophet
Now,
of
this
the
Rulin
church.
Allred, he wasn't
Mhm.
just some prophet of the church. He was
The
the
founder.
founder of the AUB. Is that right?
I think simplified, yes.
Okay.
To
Yes.
me, it's
Okay.
kind of complicated and all of that, but because there were so many like arguments and who got to do who and who got to do
Mm.
what, and so we'll just say that he was really a cool guy, a really cool prophet, and I adored him. I loved him. Yeah, I loved him.
Interesting fact, because he joined the Council of Friends. Sam's grandfather was also on the Council of Friends.
Yeah,
So we're
they were
pretty
friends.
sure, and if not, we're going to push this narrative. We're pretty sure that your grandpa and his grandpa were friends.
Either friends or enemies, but they knew each
I
other.
They
mean,
were on the Council of Friends together.
we can say frenemy too, because that's
Yeah.
always fun as
Yes.
well.
So it's possible that you and I, in some way or another, are cousins or related somehow.
It's very possible. Who's your grandpa?
Charles Zitting.
Oh, you're a Zitting.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I know you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The
I don't know if
crazy
it's
ones that left
related
the
or
church.
not, but relatable, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know there's all kinds of ties between these different fundamentalist Mormonism groups, and I know that you had ties in the LeBaron group as well, which that's a wild story.
I know. My mom, like my mom's biological father, who she met when she was like 30, he was Ervil LeBaron's brother. It's
Wow.
crazy. The LeBaron tie is crazy.
Did you watch that document? Did you watch that docuseries, The Daughters of a Cult? That was
I
all
didn't.
the daughters of Ervil LeBaron and of the other LeBaron, but it
Yeah.
goes through and they talk about being raised in that group, in the LeBaron group, when the hit list was happening and all that. Very, very interesting. If you haven't seen it, we've done like reviews on it. Absolutely wild. But when I read in your book and I was like, oh my gosh, she's tied to the LeBarons, and then obviously with what happened to your grandfather, which was horrific. So sad to see. Like, again, they played it out in the show as well, and so like all those details of what went into that. So sorry for your grandpa. We heard he was a great man.
Yeah.
Like even
Yes.
in Sam's group, they
Yes.
talked about him highly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Do you remember him?
I remember I only have a couple of memories with him. One is walking across the field holding his hand. I guess that's it. Probably walking across the field holding his hand at one point. And then I remember my dad coming home from work and saying that he had died. So that's it. I just have the one memory of him.
So you would have been
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah, it was like 5.
Okay. So that's a very young age. So you probably didn't understand really what happened.
No,
at
he was
young
just
age.
my grandpa. That was it. I didn't understand a lot of it just because I was a kid when everything went down.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing that I loved reading about, because obviously we have a lot of people on the channel and there's a lot of hard things and there's a lot of abuses that happen within polygamous communities.
Yeah.
But I love whenever there's another story of someone that is similar to Sam that had this like really happy childhood and lived in a happy, safe home. And can you share a little bit of what it was like for you growing up in that? Because that made my heart so happy, where we see these sides of the darkness and they're trying to combat that however we can help. And then there's stories like Sam's where he's like, I had a
It
great
was
childhood.
odd, but I had parents that loved me. That's the way I would put it.
Same. I loved it. I loved growing up with my plural family. I loved my moms. I loved the whole community. We lived United Order for a while, and so I loved that because we had people around all the time. I was surrounded by people that loved me, and my dad was like my most important person ever. And he, it was just a love. It was a house full of love. It really honestly was. And he would come home from work and we would hang out all weekend and he would play and we'd go to the park. We'd play sports, of which I can't play any. It's true. Not a thing. But he would spend all this time with us. You know, he belonged to us on the weekends and we would play and had so much fun with him. I just remember a fun, loving childhood.
That's amazing. You did mention something in your book, though you did have a good childhood. You weren't afraid of your family, but you were taught to be afraid of other
The
things.
outside world.
I loved the way you worded it. Let me do the
Yes.
quote, because when I read it, I actually stopped reading and I like went to Sam like in the other room and I was like, babe, this is the perfect way to word it. Christine found the perfect words. But you said you were being raised with fear rather than in fear.
Yes.
Love that.
I think that's beautiful.
I think it's a perfect way to really just say what it was like. Absolutely. And McKelty, my daughter McKelty, she actually, that was her favorite part of the book, being raised with fear rather than in fear, because it's a really, really important thing to say. So it wasn't until I joined Principal Voices when I was like 38 that someone brought that up. How like they were like, it's very important for people to understand the difference between being raised with fear and in fear. And they talked about that. And I realized that I wasn't raised like in fear. And I loved that too. So I wanted to make sure people understood that when you're afraid of the outside world, not of what's happening to you in your home, that's when you raised with fear. Like we knew that anybody in the outside world could come in and tear our family apart at any time. So the whole outside world was scary. Even other plural, like fundamentalist groups were scary. That's something that's interesting too that people don't get. So the AUB, like there's this whole like fundamentalist Mormon umbrella, and in it is FLDS, like Sam was, and AUB, and there's Independence, and there's all Centennial Park, and there's all these other little sects that are all under this umbrella. And in our group, we were taught to not associate with any of them. We really only ever associated with AUB. That was all. That was it, even that.
That's very interesting. And that was the same way I was raised, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That resonates with me so fully, the being raised with fear, because I loved my family, and the idea of being taken from my family was the most fearful thing. I never felt like I needed to or tried to escape from my situation until I was 18. I just wanted to live a different life. But man, the sermons over the pulpit and the way that we were taught to always be afraid of everything that wasn't the church. And like you said, it was the one church that we were a part of. Every other church, even if they believed and taught the same things over the pulpit, they still were not okay. We still weren't supposed to associate with them in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they were like taboo. Like we couldn't, because these guys would come in and steal the girls, and then you're going to be raised in a family with no priesthood and things like that. And it was the most terrifying thing ever. You don't want to do that. So there's just no one you could really, really trust. And the first day that I joined Principal Voices, I was sitting there at this table, and across the table were some people that were independents. And they were like, "You all Reds, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, whoa, that's why we're scared of you. Oh, it was crazy. They're like, "You all Reds think you're better than anybody else." I'm like, "I don't think I'm better than anybody, I promise."
That's so funny. Speaking of the last name Allred, very prominent last name in the FLDS as well. Very, very much so in the leaders of the church. But also, we found this kind of interesting when we first heard that you were going to marry David, and we
as soon as we
heard his last name, we were like, "Wait, could it be? Could he be related to the Woolleys?"
Our ears were perked up well before you had mentioned, like in the show, that David, had family that was in plural marriage. Before that, I was like, she's marrying a Woolley. Is he from Utah? Is he from Utah?
Right. Wait for this. His middle name is also Pratt.
Oh, wow.
My goodness.
Pratt, Woolley, and neither of them have like Mormon roots at all.
Really?
Not the Pratt or the Woolley. They're all from back east. Yeah, no, not at all. Isn't that crazy? So the Pratt is from England, and then the Woolley is England too, essentially, but they're not Mormon. They're not fundamentalist Mormon, like polygamy, nothing.
Okay.
I know.
And then the fact that his sister ended up in a plural marriage. Okay, well, maybe we need to have David on sometime too to share more of his own family story. But that, once I heard that, I just assumed he must be a Utah Mormon Woolley. And so that is wild that out of all of that.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. See, I don't
I know. It's so crazy. And he always is like, there's 2 O's and 2 L's in it. The other Woolley does not have 2 L's. This is a 2L.
This is Woolley, a 2L Woolley.
And he knew, like, his family, so the LeBaron colony, his dad would go to the same place where, anyway, we're so, like, intermingled, David and I. It's crazy. Like, he knew about the LeBaron colony and went there when he was a kid and everything, too. It's just so interesting.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Yeah, because there were 2 Woolleys that were prophets of the FLDS church.
Well, there was Lauren C. Yeah, there was 2 of ours, too.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
I think the split happened in the 50s.
So it must have happened
so
after the Woolleys. You're right.
I think it was after the Woolleys. So I think we have that in common.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
sense.
from like the lineage, the prophet lineage, I think that you guys both look at Lauren Woolley as a prophet, and then it splits after that for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same way that like Joseph Smith and Brigham Young is there for all of them, right? And John Taylor. But like it's I think
That was
the
where it
prophet
split
tree, you guys
because
both look at Wooley's as a
because it
prophet.
was John Woolley and then Lauren Woolley, and then for the
Uh-huh.
FLDS, it was then John Y. Barlow, and it seems that is where you went a different direction.
To Rulin, right?
So yeah.
Yes.
Rulin Allred, when you branched over to Barlow.
Okay.
We stayed with the correct prophet at that time.
Exactly.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. We know that no, just kidding.
Melissa was raised in the mainstream
LDS. So we thought you
LDS.
guys had strayed way further back than that before the
No,
Woolies.
we always had the priesthood. You guys had the church, but we had the priesthood.
Okay, I did have to ask this because everybody that we've interviewed from the AUB views. So that first, you should probably share how the FLDS views the LDS, and then I want to hear from you, Christine, how the AUB or how you were raised to view the LDS church, because I feel like every fundamentalist group views it a little different.
Mhm. For the FLDS, and this wasn't taught over the pulpit, but the idea was that the mainstream LDS church was this big, flashy,
The
worldly,
great abominable
great
church.
and abominable church spoken about in the Book of Mormon is really what we looked at them as.
Okay. No, ours was a little bit more kind than that. They were like the mother
Thank you.
church kind of a thing. And we like, I think my dad still prays that the temple doors will be open to the worthy saints, hoping that eventually we can join the Mormon church again. So I
Okay.
think that is the hope. And maybe that's not on the pulpit. That's what I was raised with. I don't always remember all of the pulpit stuff because a lot of it was doom and gloom, and I don't live in
Oh,
that kind of a world. And I
yeah.
got in trouble so many times for asking questions that had to do with this. So, but my dad was all about the church, the Mormon church, being like the mother, and it's very respected, and that's where our heart is too. And so hopefully we can join with them again when everything's cleansed at the end of the days.
Okay.
And that's what I'd kind of heard. And every time, so I just keep asking people from the AB to see, like, is it there like difference between families? But I've heard that a lot, that
Yep.
there was like a respect. And
Mhm.
I wish that that was reciprocated from the LDS church, because we thought all the fundamentalists had gone astray.
Oh,
So
yes.
it was more, but yeah, it's like almost made me sad. I'm like, oh, they're like viewing us as like these, that we have like these close ties, and that there's, well, I mean, there are close ties between all fundamentalist
Yeah.
groups and mainstream Mormonism, but it seems like within the AUB too that some people get like married in the temple and then join the AUB.
Yes.
And it seems like even now, I've heard a lot since COVID, like a lot more people are joining the AUB. If they're going to fundamentalism, they're going to the AUB versus a lot of the other fundamentalist groups,
Really? We're becoming popular?
because there is that like kinship.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Because the AUB
Yeah.
is kind and like more welcoming at the idea that like, okay, the mainstream church has gone
Mhm.
astray, and that like we're going to combine with them later. So rather
Right,
than
doesn't
this,
that sound better?
it sounds
Sounds
so
so
much better.
nice.
Yeah,
That's
it
Yeah.
sounds so much nicer,
That's a
right?
lot
I believe we
nicer.
have a Venn diagram, like the Mormon church, and they've connected in the middle, and you have this beautiful Venn diagram of where we connect, and then eventually they'll just move into one.
Okay, that
Right?
is
I don't know.
super, super
That's a
interesting.
nice way to look at it, and
You're welcome.
that's kind of
Yes.
how we that's kind of how we have heard a lot of people talk about Rulin Allred, who kind of started the AUB. He was he was a kind person in that way. He didn't try to attack other beliefs so much,
Mm.
which is, I mean, I have to respect that. And I've talked to my father, who is now in his mid 80s, and he can think back and remember some of the things in the early days of the fundamentalist group splitting off and all of that, and he didn't have anything negative to say about him either. So he seems to respect a lot of the people from the beginning of the breakoffs, I guess you can say.
I think he was just loving. I really, really feel like he loved people, and you'll find that he really liked the idea of polygamy being more open, our culture being more open.
Mm,
I met with a gentleman who I did an interview with him, and he was open way back then about polygamy. He thought that
Oh,
it needed
wow.
to be open. He didn't like the living in fear. He
mm,
didn't like that. He believed that people should be accepted, and he believed in America being like, if it really is freedom of religion, then let's go ahead and be open. So as far as I know, that's what he taught. Was a lot of that was, let's not hide it. Let's not do this hide under a bushel kind of a thing. Let's let our light shine on top of the hill.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah.
along with this, the AUB and having been raised in that religion and that culture, right? Because there's the religion aspect, there's a huge cultural aspect to it as
Yeah.
well. And having been in a plural family yourself, and now choosing not to be, I'm guessing you and David are still on that same page, yeah? Is that
Yes.
a safe
Oh, yes.
assumption?
We are monogamous, and it is awesome. We
Yeah.
love it.
In which, I don't know if I want to say like which came first, the chicken or the egg, but like, do you feel like in your plural marriage, the faith aspect went away first, or did the idea of this isn't working as plural marriage, and so I'm going to not have that same faith in that religion? Does that make sense? I might be
So
asking
I
that
think
in a
so.
weird way.
no, I think you're okay. I think it's easy to break it down. I began to lose faith in the religion itself. I had problems with the articles of faith, the same one that the
Mm.
LDS Church believes in.
Yep.
I was like, I got to number 2, and I'm like, I don't think I can handle this. And there were so many things I disagreed with. We were in Vegas. We were teaching Sunday school and church and stuff in our homes, and I was teaching Sunday school, and I was teaching the kids the articles of faith and stuff. And I realized I don't believe in these anymore. And I started to just think that my relationship with God was more important. And as we met more people in the outside world, and they were so incredible, and their belief was stronger than mine in their religion, I
Mhm.
realized that I think that heaven looks a lot different than I thought it did.
Mm.
And because there were so many different amazing people, and they all believed in these different religions and different gods, mine wasn't the right church anymore, you know?
Mhm.
And so I knew that I could have a relationship with God at that point, but the rest of it I couldn't. And then I started with falling away and asking more questions. I, stopped believing the garments were something that needed to be worn. I certainly
Mm.
wasn't going to wear them anymore because they were controlling. I found out that the prophet had come down and said that he didn't like pierced ears, so my earrings went back in. I mean, it was piece by piece, but first it was the faith or the religion, and then the
Mhm.
faith, and I didn't like all the dogmas that went with it. The AUB really became so controlling, like wearing white shirts and no long hair for men and all of this stuff. And the more controlling it got, the more I thought, this is not the church that I signed up for. I'm not going to be in a church this controlling. So I just kind of falling away gradually, but it took a good 10 years to really leave religion. It took a long time.
Wow. Was it in Las Vegas that you started having those questions?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in Las Vegas. Just
Oh.
we were teaching services in ourselves, and so I'm like, before I teach anything, I really need to believe it, and I
Mm.
realized I didn't.
Yeah.
So and shortly after that, we kind of just stopped doing services in our home completely, and went to other churches to kind of explore for a little bit. But then they would preach how wicked polygamy was from the pulpit, so we wouldn't really go to that church anymore after a while and stuff.
Yeah, that would be tough out in the big bad world where most people would disagree with polygamy and you are living polygamy. I mean, of all places, Vegas seems to be a little bit more open-minded, but
Very.
That's where we live now, is
yes.
Vegas, so we can
Oh,
speak
I
to that.
loved it. I
Yeah.
loved living in Vegas. I think in Vegas, you're expected to be good people, and that's it.
Yeah.
They just want you to be good people. They want your kids to treat others with kindness. They want you to treat your neighbors with kindness. And I love the people there so much. Some of my best friends live there.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah,
we've made really
it's
good friends here. It
yeah.
was like a surprise. We thought we were
Yeah.
gonna be here for a year. We've been here for 6, and we kind of joke that, another friend of mine that we're really close now that also lives here, and we're like, Vegas is one of those places that you don't expect to be here for I don't think many people think, "Oh, I'm gonna move to Vegas and be there forever." But it, like, grows on you, and then you meet so many good people, and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, now if I moved away, I'd be sad because I have all these awesome people in
Yep.
my life
Yeah.
that are
Yeah,
here."
no, I get it. I completely get it. I love it there. I really
Mm,
do. It's incredible people.
yeah.
So, speaking of moving, it seemed as though, based on the show, that you've always kind of wanted to get back to Utah. Is that
Yeah,
the
it's like,
case, or
oh,
would have you been happy staying in Las Vegas? Because once the Flagstaff moved, based on the show, you were like, you know what? No.
yeah, I don't know. I often wonder, what if I had, just stayed in Vegas, if Janelle and I had stayed behind like she suggested initially. I wonder that kind of a thing. I don't know. But I think eventually I would have just wanted Utah more than
Okay.
anything. My dad's here, my mom's
Mm.
here, my other mom's here, and even I have some siblings that are here. I just think the pull of my dad is just really kind of strong, you know?
Yeah.
And are you
Mm.
so now being outside the religion, are you still able to have a good relationship with your family that still is
Mhm.
in? We know your mom's left, but are you able to have a good relationship with your father?
Phenomenal. That
Good.
never changed. So my dad is completely accepting of everybody that has walked the different things. So when I took my garments off, it was difficult for him. He was
Mm.
like,
Mm.
"That's not what you should do." And he opened up the scriptures and he's like, "This is this and this is this." And I'm like, "Dad, I'm not going to. They're a form of control. And
Mm.
I'm not going to be controlled anymore. Can you imagine me being controlled?" Well, no, Chris. I mean, um, but he is so loving. He's all about love, all about accepting everybody in all the different walks of life. So I have sisters that never lived polygamy, family members that all still live polygamy, like several of them. Some never will, some never, have, but don't anymore. So again, it's all over the place. And we're all siblings, 100%. It's all the same. My other mom
Mm.
is our mom. My mom, even though she left when I was 19, she still comes to family reunions and stuff. And sometimes that's 7 kinds of awkward, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like we still do our no, we're still a family. Yeah, it
Mm.
doesn't matter. I mean, I was a little nervous in writing a book that has some things in there about our church even and things like that, which is why I had my sister that's still in the church read it, so to make sure I wasn't being offensive or anything like that. So I think we're all careful and respectful of the other walks, that everybody's doing. But
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to just accept everybody where they're at, and that's just what we do.
That's so wonderful. That
Could
makes
not
my
agree
heart
more.
so happy.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the FLDS Warren Justice still doesn't allow any of Sam's family that's in it to talk to us
Yeah,
or
it's
have any
tough.
relationship.
So, Sam, you don't have a relationship with your other siblings anymore, your mother, moms, or anything?
No, unless I have a lot of siblings that have now left, but my mother is still very much a part of the church, believes that Warren Jeffs is a prophet, even though he's been in prison now for what, 17, 18 years.
What?
They look at it as Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith was put in prison. The apostles of Jesus Christ were put in prison, and they look at it as people just fighting against the church, but they don't believe that Warren Jeffs did anything wrong. And because of that, they allow him to control them even from his prison cell, and he's telling them, do not associate with apostates, and that's me. So
That's you.
so that relationship is just, I've had some opportunities over the years to briefly have a conversation with her, but I haven't seen her in 15 years.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Oh, Sam,
been a
I'm
long
so
time.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, I'm sorry. I didn't know
Oh.
that.
Well, thank you. And yeah, it's odd when I talk about it. For me, it's just such a matter of fact at this point that sometimes I forget about all of the emotions that I feel. I talk about it. Oh yeah, no, I don't really have a relationship with her. And then later that night, I'm thinking, yeah, the
Yeah.
reality kicks in about it all. But it's been rough. And for those siblings that still believe in the church, those siblings I don't have any relationship with either.
Yeah.
So
Oh
it's
my gosh,
very
that's very
different.
different.
But I'm very happy to hear that it's not that way for you, because
Mm-mm.
that would just be so, so hard.
I couldn't imagine. That sounds really hard. I'm
Yeah.
gonna dissect this a little bit with David tonight. I have to let this one go. I think I can't live in your world a little
Yeah.
bit. I have to separate myself because I'd be heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. No, yeah, let's
Oh, yeah,
let's
on a
move on.
happier
Move
note.
on.
adjust.
Yeah.
Adjust
Yeah.
how we see. Put your feet on the ground flat. Adjust.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
big breaths.
But no, it is comforting. It makes us happy anytime we see people be able to have their family relationships intact, even when there's differences in religion and that. And so we're super happy for you. So happy to see your family. I know it was season 20 just barely coming out, getting to see all the different family dynamics and having everything be so separate, but still seeing you get to be so close to like all of Janelle's kids and all of your kids just like also makes our hearts happy because
Yeah.
I
Mine
think,
too.
yeah, so many people, you just
Too.
have so many people that are cheering for you and Janelle. And we wouldn't be sad if you guys continue to show just the two of you either. Like, just want to
You
throw
know
that out
what?
there,
On that.
like
From
producer
your mouth,
idea.
Yeah, God's ears. I'm just saying that sounds just fine with me. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
so nice?
It
You
would be
know?
it would be so nice,
Yeah.
and we kind of have to wrap it up because we don't want to take too much of your time. But we do have to ask. Everybody's wondering: is there going to be a season 21 coming,
Well,
or
you know,
a Christine Janelle show? Just throwing it
okay,
out
I
there.
don't know exactly how much information I can give because I did sign a non-disclosure, but we are still filming. We film several times, like every other week. We are still filming. And so
Sure.
there's still many more stories to be heard and told, and there'll still be more next year.
Okay.
Okay.
And
That's
I
good to
think I
hear.
can say that. I'm pretty sure. I think
Yeah,
we
sounds
will.
Yeah.
good. And if there's ever any more information, we'll just, blink twice. If no, I'm just kidding.
We
We'll
will
just
test it
speak in
together.
code.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Love it.
that is awesome. Again, we have so many fans that watch you guys. It's been so fun to get to see Sister Wives. We didn't start until season 18.
That's where we started.
Okay. People
Did
were
you go
like,
back? You backtracked?
We
we
did.
had to, but it was so funny
Okay.
though, because we go in at season 18 and people are like, react to Sister Wives, just start where they're at now. And so we went in at season 18 and
boy.
everyone's like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. And we're like,
You're right.
you're
We
so right. We
don't.
have no
Please
idea.
tell us what we're talking about. But we
So we did start over from the beginning.
and
So
we have gone
Okay.
through every season from the beginning. We didn't do
Wow.
episode for episode in the beginning. We did
like
a couple per
couple, yeah,
season or
like a
something,
season.
Okay.
but we caught up now and just wow, so much to talk about there. But I feel like we've been involved in your life now for how many years have we been doing this?
Well, the Sisters has been only like a year and a half, but it's just such a pleasure and like honor to get to
Yeah.
meet you in person. Because we always say we're like, you feel these connections to people that you see on TV, and sometimes I have to remind us and our viewers, and like, okay, these are people that we don't actually know. Like we feel like we get this window into their lives, right? But like
Yeah.
it's just a little window, and it's whatever we want to see. And then they release amazing books where now I feel like I have a picture window. And then you said you'd come on in person. I'm like,
I'm excited. I was so
Hallelujah.
excited. So excited to meet people from like grew up in polygamy too. It's always fun to have, because we share
Yes.
roots.
yes,
Yes.
sure. So
Well,
we're just so
Love it.
grateful.
thank you
Me
for
too.
sharing this with us. And for all of you watching, if you haven't already, you have to read this book. It is amazing. Thank you for opening up for all of us to get that peek into so many questions we had that we did not have answers to by just watching the show. So thank you for the book.
And Christine, we
Awesome.
we have to end the same way with you as we do with all of our interviews, which would be that if somebody, whether they're in the AUB, if they're in a plural marriage, if they're just in maybe a toxic marriage, what is something that you want to convey to those people? If you knew that they would listen to you and they're in a situation similar to what you were in, what would you want to say to them?
If you're wondering if you're wondering that you need to change or you're thinking that you need to change, you probably do.
Hmm.
And you need to put both of your feet on the ground and take a deep breath. And you already have the answers that you already know what you need to do. And then you need to start making a plan to live your life for you. So I think so many of us feel like it's selfish to want to live our own life, and it's not. You're the only one who can live your life. You're the only one who's in charge of your life. So make the best life that you can.
Yeah.
I love that
Well,
so
thank you.
much.
And you have shown us, and for those people that might be in a situation that you were in, you have shown that it is possible. And now you have this amazing relationship with David, which we love to see.
Me too.
So thanks for being the
Yeah.
example of how to do that.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Thank you as well with you too. You're an example as well. I love that.
Thank
Well,
you so
thank you.
much. And
Good.
thank you for all of you watching. We appreciate all of you, and we look forward to talking to y'all soon.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.